G'day and welcome to the Homebrew Network, easily the biggest homebrew group in the world. And today, I got a package. I feel like a newsreader. G'day. Yes, a package from Spike Brewing, all the way from Milwaukee. For those that don't know, the Homebrew Network is a worldwide group with just as many members in the USA, some in the UK, and plenty in Australia too, all over the world. And I have to thank Spike for sending me this. Now, I don't know much about it. I know what it's for, but I haven't seen the design at all on the internet or, even a picture of it. So let's have a look. I don't think I have to introduce Spike. Everybody knows who they are. It's a Spike Oxygenation kit. That's a tongue twister. It seems you can buy the kit by itself or with a carb stone. I guess some people already have carb stones and it'll save them a couple of bucks. Okay, this looks quite fancy. I'll give you a close-up look at it. That there is a gas post. A couple of fittings, a screw-on gas post. That looks like a fancy regulator with a gas quick disconnect on the other end and about 2 foot of line, maybe a little bit more. There's the regulator. It comes with a flow meter up the top, I didn't notice before. Very handy. Nice looking bit of kit. And a stainless steel triclover fitting. Airstone. And a tri-clamp and a seal. So that's all the parts, except you will of course need an oxygen tank. This is a Burns-O-Matic tank. You can get them lots of places, but as easy as Bunnings in Australia, and they're available overseas as well in the US and all around the world. This here is a very nice regulator. I've had a few cheap regulators, but this one looks very nice. It is a reverse thread on these things, so remember that. I'm not going to screw it right down now because I don't want to engage the oxygen. So this is your Airstone. It's inside there. Might be a little bit hard to see from up there, but we'll give you a close look. And as you can probably tell by now, these are for a tri-clamp fermenters. You would connect this to a tri-clamp fitting below the beer level. So this, your Airstone submerged in the beer, but at that stage it's only wort because you wouldn't be adding oxygen after fermented started. Though you could add CO2 through it. I can't see why you couldn't carb through it once your beer was finished and fermented. In here is the screw-on gas fitting. Choking. Sure they're nice and tight. Not too tight where you bust things, of course. And that way you have your gas connector hooked up to your Airstone, and of course that hooks up to your fermenter below the wort line. There is a recommended time and pressure to use, and on here they say set it to 1/4 litre per minute for 30 seconds per gallon. And that's pretty typical. It can depend on the stone, what size stone you use, but it's anywhere from 1/4 to 1 litre per minute of oxygen in a normal system, and anywhere from 30 seconds to 60 seconds max. You really don't need any more than that. You can actually do a little bit of damage to beer by adding too much pure oxygen to it. It's rare, but it happens. For those that don't have a regulator and use some sort of oxygen system like this and you're going by eye, you don't want it bubbling. You can have it so the gas is going through and it's all bubbling out, and that's just a waste. You barely want to see it break the surface. If you've got 6 inches under the surface of your beer on a wand or something like that, I keep saying beer, but it's wort. You'll barely want to be breaking the surface with bubbles. You want to know it's running, of course, but you don't want it breaking the surface. You're just wasting oxygen that way. It's just bubbling up and going into the atmosphere. Let's go and connect it up to a fermenter, and I might just put water in so we can see what's going on, and we'll have a look. G'day, yes, it's the next day. What I was waiting for was a new oxygen tank. This has still got some in it, but after I filmed the video, I went to look them up on the interwebs, you know, Bunnings and that, and they don't seem to stock Birds-O-Matic anymore. You can still find them in some rare places, but what I did find that some places do stock these, and they're the same. They're just called Hot Devil. So you might have struggle finding these. They're the same 40 grams each of oxygen. Just be careful where you buy it from. You shouldn't be paying over $20. It might be a little bit hard to see, but they have exactly the same fittings. Reverse thread. Just wanted to show you how you might attach it. Something like that. Unfortunately, I don't have any other spike equipment here at the moment. That might change in the future, hopefully. But on my Nano X, I could get rid of the sample port. Since I use a pickup tube inside anyway, I don't really need the sample port, although the sample port can come in handy with the pigtail fitting that makes taking samples a bit easier. I could get rid of the thermo well. In a small size fermenter like this, a thermo well really isn't needed. I could just as easily stick the temperature probe down behind the insulation here and use that port, and that's it. That'd be just fine. I just wanted to mention, you can buy this oxygen kit without the Airstone. So I'll just take this off for a sec. You can buy it without the Airstone, and it'll be significantly cheaper without the Airstone. And you might ask why. Well, you might already have an Airstone. They asked me if I had an Airstone, and I said no, I didn't think I'd have the right one, and then I'd forgotten about this one that Nano X had supplied, because I haven't used it before. I'd forgotten all about it. So if you already had one, you know, you might have it attached like that. Then you wouldn't need to buy the oxygen kit that comes with the Airstone. You could just buy the regulator flow control that comes separately. So you could use that like that, or you could use that other fitting I have. You'd attach that into there. You'd have to open up the valve, of course. Attach that there. Then you could oxygenate your wort, and then later on carb your beer through it. And once you're attached to your oxygen bottle like that, with your regulator and flow control, you might cut that off. You might add a filter in there, an air filter, and just go into another piece of hose with an Airstone on the end, or you might have one of those wands with the Airstone on the end. So this is still very handy, even if you don't have, you know, a stainless steel fermenter with tri-clamps and all that sort of thing. This bit here, which you can buy as a kit alone, very, very good, handy. That flow control will save you a lot of oxygen. So I'm going to attach this back to here, and we'll test it out just with some water in it so you can see the bubbles. And for people that don't have tri-clamps, be careful what you wish for. They are not the easiest thing to put on sometimes. Sometimes you can get them straight away. Other times they're fiddly. Oh, I was lucky that time. I was very lucky. I was fiddling for ages before. You wouldn't want to be doing it in a rush. That was extremely lucky that time. So that's where we're hooked up, down here. Screw the tank up. Remember, it's reversed thread. And don't go slow because you'll waste oxygen. Go get it on there. So what they suggest to use on here is 1/4 litre per minute for 30 seconds per gallon. So you're usually doing about 6 gallons in Australia. So you might do it for 3 minutes. Now, the way we always used to do it, and I'd do what they say, but with my other regulator, and I had to have a separate flow meter, we'd put it to 1 litre per minute and just do 30 seconds to 60 seconds. 30 seconds for a normal beer and 60 seconds for a bigger beer, and no more than that was needed. But I sort of like their idea of going even lower and slower. That way, if you accidentally forget about it, or you just turn your back and get distracted for a minute, you're not wasting so much oxygen. So it is good to go slower, and you know, it doesn't really take very long. It's only going to take you 3 minutes or, you know, 2.5 minutes, and you'll be done. I don't think you need to see me connect this to the bottom. So, see, there's not much water in there, but if this was filled up, there'd be way less bubbles poking out there. So if you're doing it by yourself, you don't want to see bubbles coming up to the surface. You get it as low as you can. But yeah, there, so it works. Anyway, so look, I'm not going to waste any more oxygen. Let's say we're done. Unplug it. Then you're not wasting any more. I wouldn't personally leave this connected, because there is times this can leak if it's not quite seated correctly. So it is best, I recommend, to unscrew it each time. And just be careful, you're better off using a spanner. You don't want to be doing it like this. You are better off using a spanner. And remember that it's reverse thread. There we go. That's much less likely to leak than a quick disconnect. A big thank you goes out to Spike Brewing for sending me this to review. This isn't a paid review in any way. They sent it to me for free though, to check out and have a look at. It is quality. I haven't quite seen a better oxygenation system than this before. It's very nice, sturdy, and should last you a long time. Thanks to my viewers, like, subscribe, share, and all that. And a big thank you goes out to my Patreons, because without them, these videos couldn't happen. So that's about it. I'll see you in the next one, and you'll see me using this in videos to come. Cheers.